Meatless Mondays are a disaster. The egg industry, the president of the Egg Board, thanks the people who participate in Meatless Mondays for the highest egg sales in 30 years, because people don't hear Vegan Mondays, they hear Meatless Mondays, so they eat more eggs and dairy. And then on Tuesday, it's pile on the meat, twice as much because I deprived myself yesterday on Monday. But what is our message? If it is life and death, and I see all animal products, all animal products have certain ingredients in them. They are rape, confinement, prison, mutilation, and murder. All animal products, stamp them humane, happy meat, happy eggs, whatever. Every slice of cheese, every glass of milk starts with the rape of a cow. There are connections to all social justice issues here. If we're against oppression of females, let's look at the rape of a cow. Every single cow has to be raped to produce dairy, to produce a baby. The baby is kidnapped. The mother and baby cry for each other, the baby becomes veal, the mother becomes hamburger. So in essence, I'm saying, well, when I continued to drink milk and have dairy as a vegetarian, I really wasn't doing anything. It was forward thinking, but backward action. I didn't know the full story. Cesar Chavez, a great vegan hero, said that, if you're concerned about animals, you stop the dairy and eggs first, so there's that. Meatless Mondays is a message to say, be moral one day of the week. Monday, don't participate in rape, torture, murder, imprisonment. Just, that's fine. One day of the week. The other 6 days, have at it and finance the terror. So, if it's a moral issue, we have to remove ourselves from the violence and killing right away and recognize that. Now, it's very easy when we're oppressed, when we feel oppressed, when we have low minimum wage. We're oppressed. So we can feel that. But we don't realize when we are oppressing others, and I think that's the point here, is to wake up and recognize, wow, we're part of the oppression, and in the progressive community, it's still the acceptable, the acceptable oppression, but we must move ourselves from the oppression, and that means Meatless Mondays has to be Vegan Monday, and then Vegan Tuesday through Sunday in addition to that. So now, in terms of lab meat, I am so against consumption of so-called meat, against consumption of animals, and I was dismayed to see that Farm, the organizer of this so-called animal rights conference, which I feel is a total betrayal of the animals, that basically showcases really the sellouts. So Farm promoted its animal rights conference with a link to something that said, meat is delicious and we're not going to stop eating it. So I really don't think that's a very good position for any animal advocate, vegan, anybody concerned about animals to express that thought. So then we see what the meat is, and it says 100% meat. It says 100% meat, 0% suffering. Well, once again, we're being misled by the animal rights industry, just like when it misled us into furnished battery cages. Right. All of these groups opposed furnished battery cages. Farm Sanctuary, Mercy for Animals, HSUS. They were always opposed to furnished modified battery cages, saying they were unacceptable psychologically, physically to the birds. And then all of these groups enter into a partnership with United Egg Producers, and they're telling everybody, oh, now hens can engage in natural behaviors, So, and they're so deceptive, they said, end barren battery cages. So people thought, oh, we are ending battery cages. No, we were just ending that battery cages were barren, because now we're going to shove a stick in it and call it a perch. We'll throw some wood shavings in and call it a bird bath, and suddenly it's enriched colony housing. Who can be against enriched colony housing? It's all so deceptive, you know. So now we have this lab meat, this cultured meat, and we get it from Mercy for Animals, once again, one of the great animal betrayal specialists, with its Good Food Institute promoting this biotech nightmare, this lab meat. Okay, well, let's start off with from where does this lab meat come? Well, there will be donor animals, so there'll still be farms, you know, with animals. How are they born? Are they raped? Or are they given sanctuary for life? And we're told that there'll be varieties. So if you want a certain kind of chicken, so-called meat, you get it from these. You know. So now these cells have to be fed with a solution. It's the blood from unborn baby cows. So that's what's being used to feed these cells now. This is so experimental. But what I find amazing about all of this, as animal rights advocates move away from promoting veganism, or never promote veganism, and I might say that these groups are very rich. The Humane Society of the United States has a couple of $100 million in the bank. It gets donations of, what, 130, 140 million every year. You see Mercy for Animals getting $1 million to promote cage-free eggs, and the Humane League getting $1 million to promote cage-free eggs. All of this money has been diverted away from doing anything really substantial for animals, like promoting veganism. All of that money has been diverted. The Humane Society of the United States and Humane Society International is part of a worldwide, a global livestock alliance to try to meet the growth of 50% demand in they want to reach a 70% increase demand for meat by 2050. That's part of HSUS and all of these groups together. So these organizations are basically sellouts. They're animal betrayal specialists at this point. I really don't know what happened. You know, I object to the term plant-based also. That's something that makes me cringe. But when I look at the so-called animal rights movement, I believe that it is plant-based, in that there are plants from the meat industry everywhere controlling it. The Humane Society of the United States has been run by a pig farmer vice president, somebody who killed 50,000 pigs annually. That's who management is at the Humane Society of the United States. HSUS has distributed bacon coupons for dead pig flesh. I mean, the list goes on and on. You can see Wayne Pacelli sitting with Paul Shapiro, Wayne Pacelli of HSUS, Paul Shapiro, the vice president of farm animal protection. Well, that's a joke. His percentage of protection is zero. He's batting zero. HSUS accepted $500,000 to promote cage-free eggs and put a happy face on the killing of every single male bird born. Immediately ground alive or suffocated. We should be, if we're going to sell cage-free eggs to the public, let's be honest about what it is. So, hey, here's a campaign, join us. Every single male baby bird will be killed immediately, ground alive, suffocated. Every female will be mutilated, her beak chopped off, and they will be harshly imprisoned. So they will be tortured, imprisoned, mutilated, and murdered. Every single one of the constituents of HSUS, Paul Shapiro, Vice President of Farm Animal Protection, everyone he's protecting is killed. 100%. Nobody gets out alive. So what's the point of cage-free eggs when these groups used to oppose cage-free eggs? HSUS received $500,000 from the Open Philanthropy Project. Mercy for Animals received $1 million from the Open Philanthropy Project to promote cage-free eggs. So you get $1 million. Are your priorities promoting cage-free eggs or veganism? And these groups have moved away from the term veganism anyway. They don't tell anybody to go vegan. They say go vegetarian, which is a term that's compromised now. Maybe years ago people thought vegetarian could mean vegan, but years ago there was an asterisk. You might be lacto-vegetarian, or you might be ovo-vegetarian, lacto-ovo. Those asterisks to show your lapse in morality, or you're cheating. Now people hear vegetarian, they think, well, I can have a cheese omelet and a glass of milk and a bowl of yogurt, and I'm a vegetarian. So it makes no sense. Ben and Jerry's decided to add vegan flavors, which I would never go to Ben and Jerry's, and I can't understand why vegans get so excited. And then suddenly Ben and Jerry's are good guys. Here they are, with mass killing of cows, rape of cows, but they throw the vegans a bone with a vegan flavor, and suddenly, we love Ben and Jerry's. Well, not I. And for business purposes, I mean, Bill Gates is investing in vegan foods, and now Tyson's with a percentage in Beyond Meat. So they see that there's profit there. Wasn't it? It was Dean Dairy years ago that bought Silk, the vegan milk. So it's hard to keep up with all the sales, but it's big business. People want good vegan food. So Tyson is looking to increase its revenues, but that doesn't make Tyson a good guy. Tyson is still a mass killer of chickens and pigs and cows, even though, again, these so-called animal rights organizations, these sellouts, these animal betrayal specialists, somehow glorify these companies for promises in the future that they will never deliver, and if they do, it will be equally bad for animals. So Mercy for Animals praised Tyson. Tyson did a turnaround. I don't know, it promised that down the road some years it wouldn't be using pigs from gestation crates, or but there's always an asterisk that comes along with this. Like, if you read the fine print, they'll say something like, well, we will no longer use pigs from gestation crates in our company-owned farms. And then you read the fine print and you say, they don't own any farms. They contract out with all of these farms. There are always asterisks. They're except for research, except for at the time before going to slaughter. So I don't really understand why any of these organizations put up the logos and glorify people like McDonald's. Now everybody loves McDonald's because McDonald's promised in 10 years to go all cage-free eggs. So your Egg McMuffin will come from the slaughter of every baby male ground alive and suffocated, every female having a beak chopped off, and and to say cage-free, I mean, again, we're putting a happy face on horror. Cage-free, well, they could be in a shed with tens of thousands of other birds, with pecking orders, horrible lives, all over each other. So that's no improvement. But in our minds, we want to create these victories in our minds, and because things are so terrible, we have to make up something's happening soon, and the only solution is really that we go vegan, and sorry if that's not as glamorous and it's harder work, but it's the only solution. In California, we had Proposition 2. Proposition 2 was the Protection of Farm Animal Cruelty Act. And it mandated that animals, chickens, would have enough room to spread their wings and turn around. And right now, the same bogus campaign is happening in Massachusetts with Question 3. They're asking people to vote yes on Question 3 to prevent farm animal cruelty, which is basically saying, again, shouldn't they just have enough room to turn around to spread their wings? So in California, nobody knew what it meant. So it passed here because, who doesn't want to prevent farm animal cruelty and then go ahead and keep eating eggs and hamburgers and chicken and all of that? So it did nothing to prevent farm animal cruelty. And in fact, in California, the questions were asked, what does this mean? When we say a chicken should be able to spread her wings, does that mean all the chickens in the cage at once, or one at a time, or and then where are all the inspectors? Is California going to hire an army of chicken space inspectors with rulers and tape measures, to say what? And this is how it was sold to me. I was still talking to HSUS at the time. They wanted me to support Proposition 2. And Paul Shapiro said, well, what this is about is right now hens have about 8.5 inches by 11 inches of space. With Proposition 2, they'll have 12 inches by 12 inches. So it's like, do the arts and crafts project. The difference between 8.5 by 11 and 12 and 12 is minuscule, and who is going to enforce it? It just made no sense. But then in the media, it was all, chickens have it great in California. Things are fantastic. And we go on and eat chickens, and we don't go vegan. And that's the same thing that's happening right now in Massachusetts. They're saying, prevent farm animal cruelty. Now, it doesn't prevent the rape, the artificial insemination. It doesn't prevent the kidnapping, mutilation, imprisonment, or murder of one animal. Yet it's being sold to us as prevent farm animal cruelty. This is so deceptive. I mean, I'm in despair over the deception that's misleading the public. With all this propaganda, the animals don't have a chance. What I find amazing is everybody is concerned about climate change. Everybody. It's all over the media, political campaigns, and yet vegans have the only solution to climate change. Climate change is caused by animal agriculture. Animal agriculture is the #1 cause of climate change. The production and demand for meat, dairy, fish, and eggs are the #1 cause of climate change, responsible for at least 51% of all greenhouse gas emissions. Now, we hear this from the world's top climate specialists, Robert Goodland and Jeffrey Anhang at the World Bank. They have the only peer-reviewed, scientifically accepted assessment of animal agriculture and climate change. And those top climate specialists tell us that the only solution for climate change is a massive shift to veganism. We need 50 to 85% of the population shifting away from so-called livestock products to veganism by 2020. So if we are animal advocates, we have the top ammunition on our side. We have the only solution to climate change. Now, people are going to say, no, that's not the only solution. Alternative energy is the solution. Well, alternative energy would take 20 years and $35 trillion for a new alternative energy infrastructure. We all need to go vegan now to save the planet, to save the animals and people's lives. We're concerned about our health care plan, our health crises and health care costs. Well, look at the effects of consumption of meat, dairy, fish, and eggs. Heart disease, cancer, stroke, diabetes. T. Colin Campbell on my radio program I believe he said it was at least 80%. He might have said at least 90%, but he said at least 80% of fatal degenerative disease is caused by animal protein and not much of it. So we have all the arguments on our side. Why are we running away from helping people go vegan, and we're running to cage-free eggs? We're running to lab meat. It just makes no sense. So I don't understand it. So that's why I took it upon myself to organize the World Vegan Summit and Expo. So, for vegan activism, where we could get together and, strategize on how can we help everybody go vegan. This is the main cause. It's really the only cause. So we had that. We had the first ever Vegan Because We Care walk through the streets of Berkeley, and we had Soul Food for Thought, which was a program of vegan outreach to people of color. I mean, that's what we need to be doing. We need to be promoting veganism to everyone, dogs and cats. Daisy is vegan. She loves Evolution dog food, but what are we doing not helping people go vegan when communities of color are in health crisis also? When we look at climate change, deforestation, resource depletion, all the catastrophes that come with climate change, and we vegans aren't helping people go vegan. We're running from the word vegan because, it's too hard. People will never go vegan. It's too hard. Well, I went vegan. I ate meat every day of my life. I won a hamburger eating contest when I was age 16. But it occurred to me. So what's with this arrogance? We don't think other people will get it. Who are we to deprive people of the information that saves their lives, that saves their children, and saves the planet. The only way to save the planet.